Well, got back in obviously Sunday and did a lot of review of the game. Not just obviously the critical areas that second half, but just really from the get go, from the opening play to the last play. Never been involved in a game where there was so much swing and emotion, obviously the impact that had during the course of the game. Our reaction to it. Obviously, I said what I said after the game about just the great learning moment. I've always said, right, you actually probably can teach more and make your team grow the most after wins than after a loss. But I would say that's even probably tripled, if not more, with teams that you win, right? But win in a close game, all right, in a way that I think they know they could have easily lost that game and how bad they would have felt afterwards. So I think it was a really good teaching moment on Sunday, not just for a defense, but also certain phases of, the special teams we really played really well in the special teams game, except for obviously the onside kick, right? So you do things really, really good. I know Dish made a big point about there was a graphic they put out, the best special teams unit in the country, and he made a big point of that on Friday and in his talk to our guys, and I saw it transcend on the field. Unfortunately, we weren't able to come up with the onside kick, which would have negated the whole scenario, but a really good teaching moment for our guys, players, coaches, everybody involved. Honored a lot of really good players on offense. Luke got more accolades today, right? And then I would just do a special shout-out now to, if everybody can amplify who Pat Bryant is, to the Blitnikoff Award. I'm not trying to get him the award. I'm just trying to get him on the watch list. We had to do this last year with Isaiah Williams, who ended up being one of the best receivers in the country and on an active NFL roster now. Pat Bryant literally leads, if not, he's in the top three in major categories, not just in our conference, but in the country. So special shout-out to the Blitnikoff. Hopefully you begin to hear us. We email him every week, and it's falling on deaf ears. But Pat Bryant is a guy that literally embodies everything that we preach here about the development of who he is, what he stands for. That I'm sure a lot of you saw the Big Ten Journey episode last week, which it was just a truly remarkable piece, not just on him as a football player, but him as a person. I just thought it was really cool. So also at that position, Zachary Franklin just continues to show up and do a lot of really good things. I think you have a guy like that that just continues to show up game in and game out. And then one that was really special, Hank Beatty, just a guy, again, one of the first guys that we offered when we got here from Rochester, and everything that he embodies, what he represents, the background and the history of who he is. And then I was ironically on the field, right? There was a million people. Wanted to make sure I got across to shake the coach's hand, and then got a chance to, celebrate with our guys. But it was all of a sudden there was this army of young people around me, and it was Hank Beatty, and it was just all these kids from his community that had come to celebrate his day. So I didn't know that was going on, and then to have him play the way he did was really, truly awesome. So also I thought Josh McCray really stepped for the forefront and did a lot of really good things. Josh Kreutz up front probably played his best game as a center. Just really was involved in a lot of one-on-one blocks with that front that they play. It puts a lot of stress on the center, and I thought he handled that very well defensively. Kind of three guys at all three different levels. T-Raw Edwards played extremely good. You need that nose to play well in a game like that, and he did a really good job. Was our most productive player up front and graded out over 90%, a really good player. Obviously, Dylan Rosiak is a one-man wrecking machine on the last play of overtime. I don't know if we need to hold him for that last play, but he was. I thought there was a justifiable moment. I know he was extremely frustrated at the end of the game when they scored, and then to have the vindication, the way he played the last snap and to kind of put that game to bed was awesome. And then really a guy that Caleb Patterson just has continued to grow, a guy that played every snap. I think we had very few guys that played every defense snap. He was one of them. I just thought he played, even getting the tight end down on the wide delay there to get a guy down and put us in a position to play another play was really, really awesome. So super excited about that, and we'll move on to the Michigan game. This is one that obviously I made a big point of it the other day. Josh was going to be our guest captain. I know how much this means to the fan base of Illinois, and Josh being a former alum here and obviously director of our intercollegiate athletics, what he stands for and represents to make this game what it is has been awesome. To have it culminate this week into two ranked teams, I couldn't believe when I saw the stat the last time this happened was when he was a senior in college, which is amazing. Not that you're that old, Josh, but just to kind of put things in perspective of what we're doing right now and what we're able to accomplish. I know everybody lives in the now and all that goes into it, but there's just so many stats I see every week that Bret throws in my box. Lauren, you were 70 the last time that we had a team that knocked off another ranked opponent, if I believe right, 1990, right?
is 65 years old, and he's seen 2 wins against Michigan in his lifetime.
Wow, 2. Well, I'm 3-3 against them, and I didn't like the last one. Everybody's got their history. This game means a lot to me. We will put our best foot forward and excited about the opportunity and go.
Jed, 3-0 in close games, 2-0 in overtime games. I know a lot goes into that, obviously, but for your team specifically, what's been the difference between winning and losing those close games?
One of the things I always say, I love to read the quotes of our opponents that we're playing against, right? For the most part, I think you get a real honest assessment either before the game, during the game, or after by what players say, right? And coaches are a little bit more savvy. They know their responses, but players usually regurgitate what they believe and what they feel, and they do it in the most critical moments. And Bret and I have been together now since we got here 4 years ago, and he always sends me quotes from our players and what they say, and the one thing that just resoundingly keeps coming back is the way that we prepare is the way that we play, right? And the moments that we put these guys in, I think during practice, I spent a lot of time. I don't know how many hours this morning already just kind of working about Tuesday's practice, right? So Michigan is a very scripted football team. They play very, very good football. They're sound fundamentally, offensively, defense, special teams. Their offense has been on the field for 74% of their snaps have been early downs, and their defense 77% of their downs, right? So the reason we practice early downs on Tuesday is the large part of the game, 75% of the game is played on early downs. So we got to learn to play like that. So in answer to your question, I think the thing that gives our guys the moment to have those things be successful is they've been prepared, they've been put in that position, they visualize it, and also a little bit of some of the pain of the past, right? So some of our number one season goal this year was remember the past, prepare for the future, and I think literally every week that comes up. I give, Aaron, I'm sure you guys just shot a lot of questions at him, right? But when they were out at the coin toss, I literally clicked over defense. I think I said in the post-game presser, I said, hey, these guys score a touchdown, they're going for 2. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm just telling you that's what has happened. As soon as I saw them score and I saw their whole staff put up 2, we had already called what we wanted to call defensively. I think Aaron had it down to 2 calls, and he called the play that ultimately won the game, right? So a lot of fun in that.
Josh is playing this game for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys have made it into something even bigger. So
Mm-hmm.
what does this moment mean for you guys?
Yeah, the last one was pretty big, right? And then the reason I just got choked up is you guys probably know what happened the last time we played, right? So the last one was big. I thought we had a good enough football team to go up there and win. Unfortunately, it didn't, right? And there's a lot of things that went into it, things that we could have done better. So we didn't get to rematch these guys last year, so we got a chance to rematch them this year. Those things mean a lot to I think even in league play it's changed a little bit now, but this year we had 6 rematch games. We're through 4 of them. We're 3-1. Last year against those same 4 teams we were 0-4, right? So I think our guys know the growth they've had, but I told them last night there is nothing more challenging than to have a team that has continued to play well and continues to move forward to keep doing the same things that have brought you success, right? Don't get bored doing things well. And that's why there's going to be a huge emphasis on Tuesday's practice. We had to have a huge learning day yesterday, but the fact that Josh, did everything he could to get this game to be here on this date in this moment. I know a lot of other people did as well, but to make it a big game has been awesome for me as a head coach. I know that this is Michigan week, right, from the outside world, but for us, it's got to be the same preparation day in and day out, just as much as it was this past week against Purdue, just as much as what it'll be next week against Oregon, all the things that matter.
You hinted at it a little bit Saturday night, but can you walk us through the nightmare that it is when you know a quarterback change is happening and maybe you're going to see something completely different, and oh, by the way, we only have 24 hours to prepare for this?
Yeah, I think that's, I've been a coordinator. I remember I learned through that exact moment. I had a great idea. We were at Kansas State. We were playing Texas. I forget who the starting quarterback was, but we're like, hey, we're going to get after these guys. We're really going to do it, and if we get him out, right, they're going to bring this young guy that really hasn't played yet. His name was Vince Young. Come in and run about for 250 yards on weak side option. Some play we had never saw all year, right? So I kind of learned early in my career that sometimes these moments can sneak up on you. And I knew this, right? As soon as I saw Hudson was out, I knew he'd probably been injured in the Wisconsin game, right? He got thrown around like a rag doll that fourth quarter, right? So however it played out, I knew that whoever was calling the plays or whatever they're doing, they were scripting from Sunday on against our defense. And the preparation that they had of an entire week was going to play out in front of us, right? We did some things in the first half, which probably kept it at the score that it was. And then I think it was just the perfect storm. We gave up 3 plays that accounted for about almost 180 yards in a matter of like literally real time, like 12 minutes. And it just scripted out to work really hard against us. The great thing is we survived it with a W. I think there's a lot of times people have been around a lot of Illinois fans. I took my family to dinner Saturday night afterwards at the country club, and I think like 4 people grabbed me aside and said, we've never seen that before, right? We always lose that game. And so fortunately the things are starting to turn in the right direction, but nothing is going to help us carry forward into Saturday.
Talk about perspective a lot. I'm curious for you, like, what are you learning about maybe what you guys are building here as it relates to the big picture?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get excited as a coach when I see the littlest things play out in front of me, right? And it could be a simple thing about a stance, a club chop or rip move, a technique. We do academic Zooms at 11 o'clock on Monday. I was excited today because there were several positive reports, but I was disappointed because there were a couple bad ones, right? So for me, like these little mini milestones, that's what keeps me going. Like I can't go to Michigan on Saturday, right? I got to go through Monday to get to Tuesday. So all the little things that I pay attention to see those continually end up in the positive is really big. Just feedback from former players, right? Like we sent boxes to every NFL player and coach and a couple others, and I think that was on their mind. So I heard from a lot of players, hey, thanks for the gear, great game. But also the guys that have been with me since we got here 4 years ago to see the positive things in our guys' preparation. So Colin Dixon is a guy that we recruited. He developed. You guys made him available for media last week, and he had a quote that somebody had asked him basically, like, you redshirted a year ago and you're doing these things right now. And he said, well, last year on scout team, my game day was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I took advantage against going against the number 1 defense and how that prepared him for this moment. And there's not a more impressive kid in our roster right now about the diligence that he prepares, right? And that play that he made on Saturday, that's a couple weeks in a row now where he's made big plays, and I just know where that career is going to go. Tip Ryman, as you guys all know. So Tip, he's also going to have a baby. So in his box last week, we threw a onesie in there. Pat Pearson had a great idea, and he literally shot me a text Friday and said, Coach, whoever thought of the onesie, I greatly appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. And I kind of just shot him a text, and I said, appreciate it, brother, thinking of you. And I sent the video of him double blocking a 2 All-Pros, right? And I said, we've come a long way since post-spring game, my first year here together, where you sat in your stance for 2 seconds before moving. And he just commented, he's like, Coach, it's all been part of the process. And just like those little things, Isaiah Adams sent me a picture. He's starting or wherever he's playing at left guard yesterday, and he's playing against Yelder for Holt. So Yelder for Holt was a guy recruited at Arkansas. Those two played next to each other. Detroit Lions, what they're doing. See Dan Skipper running a wideout screen. I laugh all the time because he blocked 6 quick kicks for me at Arkansas. He's always had a special gift. Every Sunday, Detroit makes active 7 to 8 offensive linemen, and 3 of those guys played for me: Kevin Zeitler, Frank Ragnow, and Dan Skipper. Right? Those things matter to me, and they're hopefully going to get us. Those same kind of stories are developing right now at Illinois.
Any update on Caden Fagan and Xavier Scott?
I wish Caden. There's actually an appointment today with a Zoom doctor. Kind of what he's going through. We're drawing as many voices from the outside world as we can. What I love about our medical staff is they're extremely gifted and have been unbelievable with our guys that we have here, and the things that pop up that aren't really in our wheelhouse, we haven't seen a lot of. They go to the outside world, so we've incorporated doctors nationally from coast to coast. Some of you guys know Camino Bell was here this past weekend as a team physician for the New York Giants. He grabbed me at the walkthrough on Friday, and he said, hey, is that Caden Fagan? I said, yeah. Former running backs like running backs, right? And he's like, hey, we got a good hip doctor in New York, so we're researching that guy, right, to give information. So a little bit of everything, but nothing with him. Xavier, I saw him working out this morning. He actually was going to go, tried to go, just didn't feel it was right. Didn't think he put himself in a position to help the team on Saturday. So right now he's cleared for practice tomorrow. I really don't expect any issues with him moving forward.
Coach, you played against Michigan and Iowa. Coaching against Wisconsin. Being here now, is it going to change your feeling again about playing against them? Has it been heightened even? Talk to the AD a little bit about that.
No, I think, I've been in this conference a long time. I tell those guys all the time, right? So The first time we played these guys, I was a redshirt freshman. Saw Bo Schembechler on the other sideline. Saw him get a penalty in the first half, which brought the whole place to crazy, which I thought was crazy watching someone that I'd only seen on TV. I have a huge respect for who they are, what they are. Actually, Lloyd Carr, when I first came into the league, when I was a head coach, he was the head coach at Michigan, and him and Coach Alvarez were very tight. So he actually kind of grabbed me after that first year. The only game I lost my first year, we went 12-1, was to Michigan, and I remember Lloyd grabbing me at spring meetings and just kind of talking about what I had in front of me and what I should be aware of, what I should take, and like just really kind of took a young coach aside. Him and Jim Tressel probably treated me as well as anybody in that conference at the time. Joe Paul's still trying to figure me out, but those two guys were really, really good, and I've tried to do that now for me as a head coach. I've tried to carry it forward with young coaches that come up, and not saying I'm Lloyd Carr or Jim Tressel, but I've been in this league a long time, and I try to say those things to young coaches. But playing Michigan, I think from the outside world, is obviously makes a big deal, and it does to me too. But I learned this one from Coach Alvarez, right? I remember when he first began to teach and installing me some things, like you don't get ready for Michigan or you don't get ready for Ohio State, you don't get ready for Penn State in 1 week. You do it 365 days a year, right? And that's what you got to rely on. If you try to make it something magical in a week, it's never going to work. So it's kind of what we do.
I guess with the Oregon
Time for
game,
one more after this.
the Oregon game being on CBS, it'll be 4 of your first 8 on networks and on 3 different ones. Is there some kind of tangible impact to getting Illinois football?
We're on CBS next week.
CBS,
Same crews
Fox.
and Ness and everybody. Oh, nice.
CBS, Fox, NBC.
You know what? Absolutely, it's awesome. I think anytime you go on national TV and make yourself in front of that many people is an awesome deal. I think the more that becomes the norm, I think that'll be the part that I really enjoy, right? Like, instead of celebrating all these great moments that are coming up like it's, like you hit lotto, let's just kind of act like we've been here, right? And there's definitely a growth that we have to go through as a football team, but also as a fan base. Like, listen, we haven't lost a game out there this year, right? That place should be rocking, right? That place should be going crazy, right? To have 2 ranked teams, that's what I want to hear, right? And they've been great. Student section, after the game, whenever you see the last play and the camera vibrates, that means some good shit's happening in the stadium, right? That's a really good thing. And, right, when we go to Michigan, we have to prepare for crowd noise there. I would really like for someone to have to prepare for crowd noise coming here. That's when we've arrived.
When you have a game like this, whereas, obviously the 100-year anniversary. I know in Iowa they talk about the 1939 season and Niall Kinnick and everything else. They've used that for decades. Have you used, either this week or other times, the history of this game and what it meant to college football, that type of thing with the players?
Yeah. Before the season even started, I kind of talked about the game and knew that this was going to bring a lot of, we didn't know at the time we were going to have 2 ranked teams coming here. But I definitely, on Sundays, yesterday we obviously did our, in the first session, we kind of get together and we put the game to bed, and then we come back in an evening session before we get into Michigan prep, and I kind of put the final touches on what happened. One of the neat graphics that our video people did is they had the cannon drop on the stadium there, and then the shield came up with 100 years in it, and I just circled it, and I said, this didn't happen overnight, right? This happened because Josh and his crew got together during the last year and a half of planning of this and wanted to celebrate a 100-year anniversary game. We made some special favors to Nike. Ironically, we're going to Oregon next week, all right, the home of Nike, and all that goes into it with Phil. But I crushed Nike for a week or for a year, right? Like, we're going to want special unis for this thing, and we're one of 2 new uniforms in college football that get to display this coming Saturday. So a lot went into it. Our players, I think, can know that, feel that, understand it. It's definitely part of what it is, but I wouldn't say it's the end-all, be-all. This is the 2024 University of Illinois against the 2024 Michigan team, and hopefully that makes its own story.